Here we go. Excited because we're here with Amit from Omnisend, and we are talking about getting ready for Christmas, which is a huge deal. Let me see if I can get my camera correct. And so we were talking about the weather, right? It is so hot right now, and we are getting ready for Christmas.
Yeah, it's as we were saying, Veronica. Like, I mean, you know, you're in Texas. It's probably 90 some degrees, almost pushing triple digits. I'm in South Carolina right now. Sorry, there's a little bit of a lag on my camera. I'm in South Carolina right now, and it's 85% humidity, and nice and toasty. But again, holidays, even though it's right around the corner, we're less than 100 days out from Black Friday.
That's how hot it is. See how sweaty
exactly.
it is.
Exactly.
So I am actually recording this from a boat. So I live on a boat, and it is a working boat, so you've got to accept the comings and goings, because my office is actually in the salon, and it becomes a salon in the evening, Anyway, so yes, I mean, Christmas, I have been talking so much about getting ready for Christmas, because in the past, I have had requests 2 weeks before Black Friday saying, oh my Lord, I have to get ready for Black Friday. Can you get something ready for me on my website? And I go, you're kidding me, right? You're kidding me. Yeah. So, I mean, now is the time. I mean, if we keep a close eye on the big box companies, right? Yeah. We have to follow them, right? We have to do what 100%. They are doing.
Great. Definitely agree with you there, Veronica. I mean, I think what's very unique over the last couple of years, I think we have to say the traditional Black Friday, Cyber Monday that we were used to back in 2019 has changed, right? I mean, COVID and the pandemic has caused a lot of new innovative thinking and starting holidays a little bit earlier. So I think last time this year, COVID-19 had pushed consumers to really digital buying, right? And it really forced merchants to optimize their online stores and improve the shopping experience, and really hone into a proper marketing effort, if that makes any sense. So
absolutely. I mean, I found that a lot of the e-commerce, shall we put it, the retail stores were just sort of playing around with e-commerce, not getting too serious about it. And as you said, COVID has just pushed us into this really different realm of, oh my God, we have to get online, we have to sell, because we can't do anything with our stores.
Yeah, no, and I think you're totally right on that. But I think what's also important is that we now, the same online competition that just started spinning up stores that never had a store, or spinning up an e-commerce site that never had an e-commerce site before the pandemic, they're there. And if not, it's even more competitive, right? So
yes.
I think the other crazy thing, and I don't know if you've talked about in your other, live sessions, is, not only are we dealing with the pandemic and shopping behavior in big box retailers, but also Apple, for example. Apple with the new iOS 15 update is going to throw a wrench in what we traditionally looked at when it came to, open rates and all of that. So it's definitely going to be a very unique holiday season for sure.
We went totally offline.
Yeah. Apologize. So what I was saying, Veronica, and I apologize, guys, for the technical difficulties potentially on my end, was what I was saying was potentially one thing that's very unique is the fact that not only do you have the same amount of competition, if not more competition, and not only is the pandemic determining a lot of things, customer shopping is determining a lot of things. Let's also not forget about Apple and that new iOS 15, update where they're going to hide open rates, right? So that's a new wrench that, merchants and retailers are going to have to figure out when it comes to the e-commerce side. So every year we say it keeps getting different. I think this one's going to be very different than what 2020 looked like, for sure.
Very, because Google has made some major changes as well. But let's talk about the iOS as well, because I've sort of glanced at it, and it's like normal normal, you don't have time to really absorb what's happening. And so what do we have to do to get over whatever they want us to do?
Yeah, so I will tell you, let me go into some details about the iOS 15 updates. And so basically what it's going to be is, from my understanding, it's going to be released in late September. And effectively, it will disqualify email open rates as a reliable metric. So really what that's going to mean, it's going to be extremely important to focus on channels and strategies to engage customers. I'll give you some more details because we've had some notes. So basically what it will do is, for those of you that are not aware of the iOS 15 update, it has a protect mail activity feature. So what it will do is it will mask user activity when they interact with an email or when they don't at all. So all emails will be marked as open, regardless if an individual opens the email or not. So I think that's really, really valuable. I mean, that's going to change it, right? Because so historically for email marketing, it's always been about open rates, right?
Yes. Yes.
So now you're not going to be able to see that, or it's not going to be as reliable as a metric, because with that new feature, it will show what it's opened even if someone didn't open it, and it will show it was not open even if someone opened it. So I think that's a really good thing. So the big thing is to really, what's really going to be a focus, and I know that you tell your clients this, is like focus on holiday email subject lines, pre-header text, that clearly reveal what the email's content and really grab their attention on it. I think that's going to be key for sure.
Yes,
100%.
exactly. I mean, you know what, and I'm guilty of it as well. So you have your email list, and then you have your, hey, don't send this email to these people because they haven't opened it.
Right.
But my argument is that I don't open emails all the time.
Sure.
It depends on time. And if something catches my eye,
Sure.
I might open that email, and I might not have opened it for 6 months, right? So
Right.
continuously being in front of your customer is a huge deal. I mean, and so unfortunately, a lot of customers, I would say it's a 50-50, right? Some of them email, some of them don't. They don't want to bother their customers, right? Doesn't matter how much I say, bother them. Because if you don't bother them, somebody else will. And email is just so, I mean, it's still, people say, oh, email is dead. And it's not, right?
No, it's not. It's not. It's one of those things. The thing I would make the argument, and again, I completely respect where those merchants are coming from. They want to bother their clients. But what I do have to ask them is, there's a reason why the customer provided their email address, right?
Yes.
There's a reason to consent that I want to get marketing materials, right? Or messaging materials. So that's an intent to purchase or learn more about your brand, right?
Yes.
So I think that there's value in that. I think the second thing as well is, I think that you have to just be top of mind at all times, right? Because if you're not doing it, somebody else is going to do it, right? So yes. The argument I would say is, you don't have to send them an email every day, right? But you can send them, that's where personalization or segmentation is going to be really, really valuable for merchants.
Yes.
You don't have, what I always say when we look at Omnisend, some of the best programs of Omnisend is that they have segments of their list that are maybe only 3 or 4 people, but that 3 or 4 people are producing better ROI to those who just do a batch and blast email to everybody, because that segmented list, the messaging is so targeted to that person, it's going to create an action on their part. Yeah.
So I mean, I have to say that I love that, and I've been in MailChimp, I've been in Klaviyo, I've been in Constant Contact, which I've never used with Shopify, but some of my clients do. I have used Aweber. I have used them all, and I tell my clients an email provider is an email provider. But since MailChimp had this very public argument with Shopify, it's not a direct connection. And if there's not a direct connection, things can go wrong. And what I like about Omnisend is it's simple, it's direct, it is easy to read, and it's directly connected to Shopify. And then the automation of your emails is that aftercare is so easy because you guys have everything in place. All I have to do is like add my little spin to the emails, but the path is there. You don't have to think about it, right?
Yeah, I think that's the big thing. And I really appreciate the compliment, knowing that, you know, you are the Shopify queen and you've looked at all ESPs to get that glowing endorsement it's really appreciated. I think, you know, Veronica, when our product team built the product, it was really built for that e-commerce retailer that wears multiple hats, right? Which is the majority of e-commerce retailers. Like, they're not only the email person, they're the social media person. They're also be the billboard person, you know, for their brick and mortar store. So therefore, they wear multiple hats. So we tried to create a platform that's easy to use, that's easy to, it's intuitive, and you don't have to be an expert or something like that to be successful on it. So I think that's the big thing that we focused on. We want to make it as easy as possible and user friendly. So for sure, definitely.
And then, so you have also, and I know, you know, Shopify have now got their little email templates, which I love. I mean, I've used them because it's so easy. You go, boom, you can email people, but you still don't have that automation when somebody orders. Okay, so if they did order something, then they get a different email to somebody that has ordered. How important is it to do the pre-holiday emails, and how important is it to do the post-holiday emails, because then Christmas comes up, right?
Yeah, so I will tell you, start early. If you haven't started with your holidays, I would start now. And you don't have to be overtly in the subject line talking about holidays. You know, the example would be is if your store is going to be offering discounts, give serious thought on the timing of it. Why you don't have to hold all the best discounts till Cyber Week, right? You could do it ahead of time, and you could start to really get some good analytical data of, are these discounts actually moving the needle for my clients? Is it going to be a value? Because as you said, so much of our revenue in the e-commerce space comes from the I think the Black Friday, Monday, or the 11 days that exist.
Absolutely, right? Absolutely.
But I would say it's a bit risky if you wait for your best discount that week, and then if it doesn't hit, it's a really hard chance for you to get back in front of them. So what I would say is start testing out these discounts on a small segment of your list to see what discounts, what offers are really driving results, and I think that will be successful. So
that's a great idea. Just use a small amount of people to test it on. Brilliant.
Yes.
So I have another argument. So I have a customer now, and I hate I'm throwing her under the bus, Miss Donna. So she does personalized puzzles. But she says that, I mean, she's got a huge list, but she has never used emails, right? And one of her arguments is, she's got a couple. I don't want to bother people. They're going to get pissed off at me. It's a one-off. Right. And I say, no, it's not, because I bought several of her puzzles for birthdays and stuff, right? Because it's personalized. Right. And so her email should be going out maybe she's never emailed people. So this is going to be a complete new, like, whoa, she's sending me an email, which is exciting, right? Which is like a launch. And then, so she should be sending out one a week, one every 2 weeks. What would be your suggestion?
So I would say this, there's no cadence, right? So for example, like what I mean to say, it's like, you know, if it was a service or it was a one-time thing, you may not, but see, here's the thing, what she could do. Why not send a follow-up email after the personalized puzzle? Like, I'm using this example, the personalized puzzle. Why not just send a follow-up email and ask like a review, or how did you like it? I mean, etc. Like, what about that? One of the other things you can do is, so that's a nice follow-up email that should be sent out after every single order that comes in, or like once they've experienced it. I think the other thing is, I think, maybe it's also, I'm thinking about content wise, like not every email has to be a promotional email selling a product, right?
No.
You don't, because I think the personalization of the brand is that we want to know the story, right? We want to build, and especially with that unique case, it's a memory, right? So what it could be is like, hey, send us a photo, or, this can help with your social media. Send us a photo of your family doing this together, or the finished product or something like that. And there's a way to create that situation. So I think she has the ability. I get the fact of not wanting to inundate your customers. You don't have to send a promotional email every week. It could be, hey, I just want to check in, but it's also on that sign up form, when you acquire that email, you're going to get some nuggets of like, hey, what's valued here? Like, so, if there's like a special holiday or something like that, you can start pushing that. But I wish I had the audience, or I had the methodology, but that's where testing comes into play, right?
I know, right? Yeah. So here's another question. So in Shopify, there is a check mark for everybody's signed up. Mm-hmm. Should we have a check marked or unchecked? That's been my big dilemma, is advising clients. I mean, with the GDPR and personal stuff and data and California, right?
100%. Right? Make sure you have consent for sure. 100%.
So should you have it checked where they have to uncheck it, or?
That's a good question. I may have to dig into that a little bit deeper for sure. But I would 100% always comply with consent. Make sure. I don't think you necessarily have to do two-time optimization, but I think you do want to at least get consent. So one of the big things is holidays, a big day. Just what I would say to any merchant: don't buy any list. Please don't. No. And if you're just starting email, let's just to be fair here. If you're just starting email, it's a channel you've never used. Don't blast out to your entire list your very first time you're sending out an email. You want to, at a certain level, you want to create like a warm up, right? Because that's the problem is that servers and the email, like Gmail and all that, if you send to 180,000 people, it looks like it's spam. And then what happens, that really hurts your reputation and your deliverability moving forward. So what I would say is go through a natural warm-up process. Don't send to everybody. I don't know all the details, but I know on the Omnisend side, we have a full deliverability team. We have a full warm-up team that makes sure that you start staggering that message out so it doesn't go all at one time. That would be the best tip, for sure.
Absolutely. And you know what? I'm still on the fence about whether I should leave it checked, so they have to uncheck it. But thank goodness we don't have GDPR in America yet, right? Only in California, I think. So so with that said, so we're coming closer and closer toward the holiday. Should we send a little bit more emails? Because I have checked these guys, like Casper Mattress and these guys. I get a daily email.
Yeah, so I would actually say this. So we've talked about, hey, start planning early, right? So we definitely want to plan there. So the one idea was, if your shop is offering a discount, give some serious thought to the timing. Is it really best to hold that best deal to the Cyber Week? The other thing you may want to determine what channels you'll use to communicate. The more, the better. So it doesn't just have to be email. It can be SMS. It can be web push notification, right? Because 76% of customers prefer different channels depending on the context of the email. So, but email is still number one. It's still a preferred channel, but nonetheless. But I think also what you may want to do is really plan your holiday promotional schedule, accounting for incentives. So define any teasers, define any flash sales that are aimed to keeping your customers hooked throughout November, October, etc. Maybe throw some bait or some of your top clients or your top customers maybe a special offer or something like that that's exclusive to that. But I think it's really about staying organized, right? Like from that standpoint. I hope that it might help what you were saying.
That's a great idea. Yes, so treat your VIP customers as VIPs, so you tell them that they get the email, they get the offer before it goes live, and people really love feeling special, right? Okay, so if we're sending out an email, should we be sending out a header with an image or not? Or should we just rather do the logo? Because I know that's available on
So I think with the update iOS 15, your pre-header and your subject line testing is going to be key. So I think it's essential that to create holiday email subject lines and pre-header text that clearly reveals the email's content and grabs.
No, that's a good tip, right? So in your subject line, and then and is that the pre-header? No.
So you have the subject line, and then you have the pre-header.
The pre-header, I don't never know which one is first.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, if you look at an iPhone, it will be subject line, and then it's that little text underneath the subject line.
Yes.
That's what you want to fill. Because to be fair, going back to like people opening emails and reading emails, and us, whether I think we look at the subject line and we look at the sort of pre-header text that exists right there, and that's really going to determine if I'm going to open that email or not. Because it does. I think also as a marketing expert, be proactive with A/B testing, variations of subject lines before this iOS 15 updates. I would say test your core automations like welcome series, shopping cart abandonment, even campaigns as well. So the way to A/B test: send one email to half your group, and send another email with a different subject line to the other half, and see what creates a better engagement. That can happen. You don't have to, if you have a large list, you don't have to send you can do a small subset if you wanted to do that. So I think that's really important to keep testing. I think that's what you want to do is to really test in this period.
Absolutely. I mean, you have to keep testing because things are changing as you're speaking. So now with going through I call it the second COVID, everything is like up in arms. Kids are going to school, maybe not going to school. Our company is going to. Our lives are still not settled,
right,
as per normal, right? So nobody really knows what's going to happen toward Christmas, but being prepared and getting that stuff going already, because I think people are hopefully going to shop ahead of time as well. Is that what you saw last year?
Yeah, we did. So I think what really we saw last year, and again, I think Amazon in 2020, set the tone by moving Prime Day in October. So I think in like the big box retailers like Target and Macy's to like really launch big holiday sales around the same time. So I think that's the other thing. I think the other caveat as well was that merchants had to recognize, first of all, the demand in shopping crowds, right? Because we're still living COVID time as well. So how many people are going to feel comfortable going into a store, right? And how many people are going to want to stay away from the store per se? But then also shipping bottlenecks is also from that standpoint. So I think that's really important to focus on as well. Like shipping was a big issue last year.
A huge issue.
Yeah, and I think that's something we have to assume it's going to have the same effect. I think one other thing I would add to those folks, like I don't want to send a promotional email every single day of like sales. I think what I would also do in your emails when you're sending, let's say, an email is why don't you highlight some of the primary value adds in each message, like free shipping, curbside pickup, live chat, 24/7 customer support, maybe even gift wrapping. And all of these types of perks really help with customer confidence when it's all said and done. So for that person, it's like, I don't want to do a sale email. Maybe, I think we had talked about it in a previous chat we had where a great post-purchase email was, you buy something, here's how you take care of that product, right? Like, so if you that's a nice follow-up email. And again, it really creates that, hey, this brand really cares about me. They really care about me being happy with my product as well.
Yes.
Or it's like, hey, people, here are other things of what you can do with the product, for example, if that makes any sense. So like,
yes. Oh, absolutely. I tend to push blogs because we need to have new content on our websites all the time.
right.
And those blogs can be not the whole blog. I keep telling Miss Kelly from Parisians Pure, don't put the whole blog in your email.
Yeah.
They have to get back to your website.
Exactly. Yeah.
So put some content in your email from your blog, and that's caring for the product or comparison products or what to do next. And so one of the interesting things was Donna again was listening in on a group of puzzlers, and the big question was how to get away from puzzle dust. I mean, who would have thought, right? So she did a blog on puzzle dust. So, but that's the thing, you've got to listen to your customers and see what questions they're asking, add it to your FAQs, add those FAQs to, there's so many ways to do the post email thing, right? The post aftercare. I call it aftercare.
Yeah, I think the big thing is it's not about getting the first time customer, right?
No.
I think most brands can get their customer one time. How do you get that customer to be a repeat purchaser?
Yes.
Retail? Because the thing you have to realize is that, as we talked about competition, there's a lot of competition out there for any vertical, for any product. So how do you create that one-to-one connection, right? So I think, puzzle dust, that's a great email. Here's how to solve for puzzle dust, right? Then you can roll out some other thing if you wanted to, like how to keep the edges from fraying, or maybe it's like, hey, you created this custom puzzle. Here's how to frame it, for example, right?
Oh yeah, she has that as well. Yeah.
Exactly. So again, naturally, you're just sending out emails, but in a unique way. You're creating a better relationship with the customer.
Yes,
right?
absolutely, absolutely. Yes, I totally agree with that. I've actually just created my own follow-up email. So it's an automation in Omnisend, and it's about my book, and it goes, hey, if you bought the one book, then this is what you get. If you bought the other book, then this is, I think it's about the courses, then this is what you get. And so pointing them in different directions. So if you haven't bought it, go back and buy it.
Definitely.
So really,
I love it. I think it's fantastic. And again, always be testing. Even if you set up an automation, keep testing. You'll see where drop-offs happen, right? Like, when do people drop off? When do people purchase? And I think that's really important as well. So I think the biggest tip that I would give any merchant, I know we're at the half-hour mark, is really just keep testing.
I know.
Just don't be willing to be experimental. Those that are willing to experiment and ones that are willing to be innovative are the ones that see the most success.
Okay, so one last question.
Yeah, of course.
Amazon is going to give us ability to email our customers. Do you know that?
I do. I've heard that. We actually just built an integration with
I know, right?
Amazon. Yeah.
So that is such a huge deal coming up towards Christmas. So that's another reason to get your email automation in place. So when you're selling to Amazon, selling stuff on Amazon, you can push those emails out as well. So
100%. It's definitely, again, I think for many merchants who are on this call or listening to this, I think the one thing you have to realize that for a lot of merchants, like for a lot of consumers, your Amazon store, when they Google you or something like that, your Amazon store comes up. Think of the Amazon store as being your storefront, and it gives you credibility. It's not to say that I understand the world of like, do I want my product being sold on Amazon or do I want to directly control it? But know that Amazon store gives your brand credibility for those new customers that don't know you. And I think you can definitely have it work for you. From that standpoint.
Absolutely. So Amazon, I call it as you rent a shelf space at Amazon. It's like Walmart. You rent a shelf space and people walk past and they go, oh, I need that, right? They won't find you unless you're extremely active and good at what you're doing with your website and you pay for advertising and everything. But that also, as you said, creates the credibility where people eventually will come to your website. So
Yeah.
yes.
Credibility for the new customer, then once you get them to be
Yes.
in, they're going to feel that comfortability. So
Exactly.
Well, I think we're at time, I believe. But
Yes. Yes.
again,
This has
always
been
a
exciting.
pleasure. Definitely. It's always a pleasure. Anybody who's listening, Veronica, if there's any follow-up, I can definitely send us our 6 tips for the holiday season. We also have a nice piece that just came out about for those folks in the fashion and apparel. We just put together a nice little piece that I can send your way, and maybe you can post it.
Okay, brilliant. I'll do that. Yes.
All righty.
This is cool. And so if anybody that wants more information, just comment and we'll get Amit to answer, or I can answer. And then I'll also put a link in if you want to connect to Omnisend, which is absolutely brilliant. And thank you very much for popping in and chatting to us today, Amit. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.